Capital of Kyiv has come under constant and deadly bombardment by Russian forces. Like so many of Ukraine's cities, civilians are paying the price for Putin's war. You can see the devastation. Schools and homes have been turned to rubble. One man lost his pregnant daughter in a massive triple bombing.
Что дочери нет, у меня уже некому обратиться даже. Вон мои сапожки.
He dug her out of the rubble with his bare hands. Like so many others, he's now forced to rebuild his life. Turning to local headlines, New York's lieutenant governor is in town. Brian Benjamin's visit comes amid a disturbing string of violent crime in Rochester.
News 10 NBC on the radio. Weekdays at 5 a.m., noon, 5, 6, and 11 on the WYSL stations.
Now,
hit the wrong intro.
Clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship.
My computer had frozen. I had to quick reopen the DJ software.
And we pay to keep our politicians fighting. How do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Hello and welcome to this Wednesday edition, the Ides of a March edition of A Free Solution. My name is Craig Miles. I am in for Kevin Wilson. And glad to be here with you. The world seems like it is crumbling. Oh my God, what are we doing? Are we going into World War III? Are we paying $10 a gallon for gas? What's going to happen? And how do we get out of it? That's what everybody's talking about. And I don't have the answer. Nobody has the answer, is the answer to that question. And that gets to the root of the issue right off the bat here, which is we have way too many people standing up and screaming and yelling about how important they are when they, unless you had given them the platform, would have absolutely nothing to say about your life. So we encourage these people sometimes, right? In the case of Russia, or in case of despotic regimes, which the U.S. seems to be getting closer and closer to. In that case, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to do what you want, right? Because then they'll come in, they'll kick in your door. And we have that stuff here in America. We have it across the world, but they can't kick everybody's door in. So again, it goes back to the whole thing that I always mention, which is it is a system that is tiered, not left and right. Your enemies are not the people on the left. They're not the people on the right. The only reason that you would think that, or that those people are even a threat to you, is because they legitimize the people at the top. So left, right, center, anarchy, whatever you believe, it's the people at top who you legitimize who cause the problems. So stop legitimizing them and be local. That is my answer to all of the problems that we have in the world. And we're going to get into a bunch of those throughout the hour. You have China with their possibility of becoming the currency of oil. Now you say, what's that all about? I didn't know that had anything to do with anything. Yeah, that's got a long legacy. Since Nixon took us all the way off the gold standard, we went to the petrodollar because we still needed to be backed by something. People wanted, they're like, okay, well, you can't just have real magic money. It's got to be based on reality somewhere. And we've abused that over and over and over again. So we'll talk about the magic money and about China and about whether that's a threat or not. Also going to talk about what is going on with World War III. It's the same thing has happened with COVID. Every week it escalates, and every week you say, wait a minute, last week this wasn't a thing, and now all of a sudden it's gospel. And in 6 months, we'll realize all those people that were saying all those crazy things, well, maybe they weren't quite as crazy as we thought they were. And Isaac, he hopped right in here right off the bat and said, end the two-party system. Yes, Isaac, you are correct. It is the two-party system that does this. I'll go to Tulsi Gabbard and Mitt Romney. They were fighting back and forth. Tulsi's a Democrat. Mitt is a Republican. Tulsi, I call a Democrat. I think she's not so much an establishment Democrat as she knows she's not a Republican, and she agrees a little bit with the Democrats. So that's where I'm at, right? If I'm Tulsi Gabbard. Mitt said Tulsi is treasonous. She is spreading misinformation about Ukrainian biolabs. And Tulsi said, Mitt, you are full of it. And then slapped him with like 10 or 12 different sources of why what Mitt just said was complete nonsense. And I think Mitt knew that it was complete nonsense. I think a lot of the stuff that you get from the politicians is posturing. They know what's real and what's not real. They're just throwing stuff out there in the ether, and it's up to you to decide whether it's real or not. So when you just say, yeah, that's real, I believe you, Mitt, I hate the Democrats, you're being played. And I'd like to hear people's opinions about this, because I think we get nailed all the time with people that we trust, with politicians that we trust. They say it, we follow them into battle, and then they leave us hanging. Mitt, he was going to be the one to save us from Obama, right? And yeah, he wants to go to war just as bad as anybody else does in the whole establishment. We just gave a bunch of money to Ukraine, whole bunch of it, signed a bill. We took away COVID funding to devote it to Ukraine. All we've done is fund COVID for the past 2 years, but now COVID stonks are down. Ukraine stonks are going to the moon, right? That's the problem. Why do we let them do this? Why? And the answer is because what are you going to do about it? They control the media. They control the narrative. They control the courts. I'm using the big they again. And I mean the establishment. I mean the swamp creatures. You are just one person. I am just one person. We are all just people. There is a gigantic system here that is a lot bigger and a lot stronger than any one person, which is why it takes a mass of people to decide, you know what, we're not going along with this. We're not. Sorry. I don't care what you say. You saw it with the mandates. As soon as the truckers got going up in Canada, everyone said, wait a minute, we can protest this? And 3 weeks later, COVID mandates are dropped and we're in World War III. So it's going to take us 2 years to get through this. How are they going to control us? If you listen to Glenn Beck, this is the catalyst for the Great Reset. And I don't doubt it. Just like with COVID, just like with any other bill, the Patriot Act, all of these legislations are written waiting for a crisis. And you can go back and look at this. The Patriot Act was written before 9/11. It was just waiting for a crisis. This isn't Bush did 9/11. I'm just saying they know that at some point there is going to be some sort of a occurrence, and they say never let a crisis go to waste. So if you listen to Glenn Beck, he says this whole Russia-Ukraine situation is an excuse for the Fed to seize more power, for us to make a Fed coin, and they're going to control everything that you do. And maybe they will. But they can only control it as long as society says this is what we're doing. If society says, yeah, cool, Fed coin, that's cute, I'm not going to use it. Are they going to throw everybody in jail? They're not going to do that. They can't. And if they push it to a certain point, you have a lot of people that are going to resist them. And just like with any despotic regime, that doesn't last forever. So the title of the show today is Falling Empires and Rising Anxiety. Have we come to the end of the American empire? We are an empire We don't have colonies anymore, but we do have territories. We have like 30 territories or something like that. Can't call them colonies because colonization was bad. That's what the British did. We have an empire. We are devaluing the currency, which they did in Rome. They had silver pieces in Rome, and they mixed them with tin over and over and over again and reminted them. And pretty soon there was like no silver. It was just this useless coin. We're doing the same thing with the US dollar. That's why OPEC says, maybe we want to back this with Chinese money instead of American money. We have to realize that we can't just do stuff anymore because we're America. We got away with it for 100 years. We can't get away with it anymore. We have to find alternative systems because the world is moving on. Russia is doing what they do. China is doing what they do. What are we going to do when we don't control the currency anymore? Money is power. Central banking is power. When we're not tied to the reserve currency of the world any longer, we lose a whole lot of power. Because now I go and I get my loans from China. Or if I want to if I want oil, I have to use Chinese money. I can't use American money. Now the demand for American money goes way down. That's not to mention about renewable resources or nuclear energy. If we get rid of petrol, now we don't have the petrodollar. People don't need oil. They don't need the dollar anymore. We lose our standing as the leader of the free world, like we always like to say. And I think this is happening because they're just going to quadruple down. Just like our government always does. They'll say, well, you can't do that. We'll start a war in China. That seems like a really bad idea to me. Are they going to do that? I don't know. They might say they'll do it. They might threaten. I think if China calls your bluff, though, I think you're kind of screwed. So what does that mean for Americans? Our government loses its standing. What do we do as Americans? What I say we always do. Get local. Build systems where you can exist outside of this massive system. And we'll talk more about that after we get back with a free solution on WYSL WACK in Newark. Give me a call, 585-346-3000. 3000, right? So do that. Give me a call. Comment in the chat. I'm watching both of them. I'd like to hear your opinion. It is Craig Miles on a free solution. Back after the break. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Oh, those injury attorney ads.
Hurt on your couch? Call 555-OUCH.
It's kind of cute watching that injury attorney buying breakfast for a crash test dummy, but while fun is fun, there's nothing amusing about getting your life back together after a personal injury or a motorcycle accident, or when you need defense for a DWI charge. Christopher Johnson takes your case seriously, and you'll feel like you're his only client because when you meet with him, your case gets 100% of his attention. So instead of cute singing jingles and magic phone numbers,
Fall out of a tree? Call 33333.
Write this number down and keep it with you. 585-415-3803. 415-3803. After all, Christopher Johnson knows you're no dummy. Get individual attention and integrity, experience, and expertise. Put the power of one on your legal team. 415-3803. Stay safe, be healthy, drive sober. Christopher Johnson, attorney, personal injury, car or motorcycle accidents, DWI defense.
As a veteran of the United States military, I can finally get the opportunity to enjoy special events, things that we couldn't afford, thanks to VetTix. Every empty seat at a concert, a game, or a play is a missed opportunity to say thanks to a veteran and service member. We can give our veterans a special event where they too can create their own cherished memories. Visit vettix.org. Find out how you can make a difference in a veteran's life.
Only available in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com, the official Mount Rushmore line of merchandise. Top quality tees, hoodies, and coffee mugs depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who's front and center up on that mountain, and we think you'll recognize the other three. Mount Rushmore items make perfect gifts. They're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Mount Rushmore, locally produced and sold only in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
A free solution.
We are back with a free solution on WYSL, WACK in Newark. It's not a free lunch, but it's almost as good. My name is Craig Miles. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I was talking about how they only are able to control you as long as you let them. And they'll get some people. I've watched a documentary called Capital Punishment about those insurrectionists down in Washington on January 6th. The thing that Chuck Schumer said was worse than 9/11. And Uncle Joe said it was the worst thing that has happened in our country since the Civil War. Those things seem extremely hyperbolic to me, but it's part of painting the picture. And the other part of painting the picture and sending a message is going to the people that were down there, kicking their doors in, pulling them out, putting them in jail, and saying, hey, this is what happens when you go against the grain. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows when you start to oppose the government. They'll do stuff like that. This is documented. This happened. I'm not making this up. The FBI went after people that were involved in January 6th, threw them in jail for extended periods of time without talking to a lawyer, without going in front of a judge, no speedy trial, none of that. This is America. You're supposed to have that. And we don't, if you are the right kind of a subversive. So when I say non-compliance, then I say don't listen to them. Yeah, that's easy for me to say. The FBI is not kicking my door in. But if you get a bunch of people to do it, now they can't kick everybody's door in. And this goes to what libertarians in the Rio Grande Valley has to say, mass non-compliance. You saw it was masks. You saw it with mandates, with gyms. They said, come and get me. I'm opening. Come and get me. And then the health department shows up and they say, get off of my property. You are not allowed here. And the health department blusters and they say, yeah, no, we are. And you say, get out. You're not allowed here. And they finally tuck tail and run because they do have no jurisdiction. You have to assert your rights. Don't allow them. And maybe you'll get some pushback for that. Probably going to get some pushback for that. There was a lawsuit against that gym owner. It was either in Rochester or Buffalo. I don't remember exactly where. He had pushback. He had a lawsuit, but in the end he won. There was also those bar owners down in New Jersey. And the cops actually went after them. And if I remember correctly, an officer was hurt while trying to enforce the mandate on them. And I would have to look into this, but I think they were actually ruled to have been in the right, even though an officer was harmed in trying to go after the bar owners down in Jersey, it was determined, the cops shouldn't have been there in the first place. So as much as I say the system is rigged, it is still working because, again, it is based on individuals, and you can't control all of the individuals. You can threaten, you can coerce, you can build systems that direct people in the most likely direction that you would like, but you still have actors that are separate from that. And that's what it takes. It takes a bunch of individuals standing up and saying, no, I'm not going to do this. That's in the system. That's outside of the system. That's all of this stuff. So the petrodollar, let's get to that. Gold used to be the currency here in America, but not everybody carried gold around in their pockets. So you had these banknotes, these receipts, and this was the beginning of fractional reserve banking. The banks found out, well, nobody's going to call in all the dollars all at once, so we'll say that you can redeem these receipts for gold and just hope that not everybody comes and tries to get their gold out of the bank at the same time. So since they weren't actually passing gold around, they created more of these receipts than they had gold in the bank. And it works, again, as long as not everybody comes and tries to get their money at once. So that was the way it was run for a while. Then we come to the Great Depression and we get the run on the banks, and FDR creates a bank holiday, closes the banks down for a week, says you are not allowed to possess gold. You must turn it in. Otherwise, we're going to put you in jail. And that's how we're going to do that. Takes us off the gold standard, but not entirely, because you couldn't tell England and you couldn't tell France and you couldn't tell Germany, yeah, remember how you have all that U.S. money and we said that we would give you gold if you wanted gold? Yeah, we're not going to do that. That was a bridge too far. So countries were still allowed to redeem U.S. currency for gold. Fast forward to 1971 and everything's crashing and the economy is in rough shape and Nixon needs to get reelected. And he says, what am I going to do about this? Well, I am not going to redeem gold for any of these notes. Sorry, it doesn't matter if you're a country. You can't do it. So he took us all the way off the gold standard. He said the dollar is no longer tied to gold, no matter what. We just have these dollars now that we can print and do whatever we want with. But that wasn't the entire end of it. We made a deal with OPEC after we were off the gold standard to redeem only US dollars for oil. So if I am a foreign country, someone other than America, and I want to buy oil from OPEC, I have to do it in US dollars. So they've created an artificial demand for the dollar, which keeps us up there at the reserve currency of the world. And that's how we got where we are today. And we've been abusing it since FDR. As we haven't seen any real consequences, it emboldens us. We continue to abuse the dollar. We continue to print money. So much money, in fact, that in the past year, we've printed 80% of the dollars ever printed in America. The world says, hey, that's kind of extreme, America. Seems like that's going to devalue your currency. Seems like that's not worth very much anymore. And now you have OPEC sitting down with China. China says, you know what? I see you guys are getting a little bit hesitant about that US dollar. You know what we got? We got Chinese dollars. And you know what? Why don't you just start accepting those instead of US currency? Oh my God. Until I heard that that was a thing, I was like, whatever, I'm a libertarian. I hate fiat money. It's not real. It's going to crash. I didn't think it was going to crash tomorrow. That brings us a whole lot closer if the world starts to accept Chinese dollars instead of US dollars That brings us a whole lot closer to hyperinflation, economic peril, all of these things. It's not a good situation at all. I'll be interested to see how this is navigated. What are we going to have to give the Saudis? What are we going to have to give OPEC? What are we going to have to do to keep them accepting only American dollars for oil? I don't know the answer to that. But I would suspect they're going to want something. What's Uncle Joe going to offer them? What's the Fed going to offer them? I don't know. We got a lot of turmoil going on right now with Russia and the Ukraine and World War III and alliances, and everybody's wound up. Oh boy. Get prepared. That's all that I got to say about that. Hyperinflation is on the way. More control is on the way. It's not COVID control, but it'll be a different kind. I don't know what it's going to be. Start relying on people, real people close to you, because something's coming. It's the Ides of March. Here on Free Solutions. Back after break. Give me a call. 585-446-3000.
Celebrating 35 years.
Hey, Craig, I'm hearing some kind of a digital noise over the connection from you. I don't know if you can hear it at all on your end.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Looking cloudy skies, temperatures in the 40s.
Well, but yeah, there's definitely some kind of like digital noise. Now, your mic you're using is the USB mic, correct?
Closer to Lake Ontario, but a very nice day to get out and enjoy. Friday, not bad, just increasing clouds in the 50s.
Oh, USB mixer?
Heading into the weekend.
Okay. You know what? I bet it is. I bet the issue is what you might have is a little ground loop working. Which, yeah, but you know what? The way around that usually, does your mixer have a 3-prong plug, like a grounded outlet plug?
Christopher Johnson takes your
Yep. Here's what I would recommend maybe trying next show that you do. Just take a ground drop, you know, one of those little gray things that allow you to plug into an outlet that's not grounded. By taking the ground out of the equation, it gets rid of, because between the computer and the mixer, you're getting a little ground, almost like a digital noise, like white noise. I've experienced this with my DJ setup with laptops, and I use ground drops on them at church. I have a laptop that I play videos with. Same thing. I have to use a ground drop, otherwise you get like a little buzz. It's not real.
Maybe it's their excellent.
Well, it's kind of almost like a buzz, like a
maybe it's their ability to give the truly
kind of, but yeah, but it.
Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients.
Oh, well, we'll see if that makes a difference, but I'll let you know after the next segment. But I'm going to bet money it's a ground loop, because that's a pretty common problem.
And love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams,
you know
or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure you had enough levels so the signal to noise ratio wasn't the issue. Thanks.
Hello, WYSL listeners. This is Vinny Dallo, financial advisor with Captain
See what happens. We have very aggressive on-air processing, and it picks up any little bit of sound.
Are your finances where you want them to be? Do you wish you knew how to make improvements, how to be more tax efficient, or how to even just get ahead? Hey, there's no need to wish. Just listen to my show. At Captain Financial, our process begins with educating our clients on all areas of financial planning. Listen to Money Talks. You'll hear us discuss retirement, investments, insurance, and helpful financial strategies. So be sure to tune in to Money Talks on the second and fourth Tuesday each month at 6:30 p.m.
Vinny Dallo is a financial advisor offering investment advisory services through Eagle Strategies LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC, Captain Financial, its employees, nor Life Securities LLC or its representatives or affiliates provide tax, legal, and accounting advice. Please consult your own tax, legal, or accounting professional before making any decisions. The show is provided for informational purposes only.
With disastrous leadership in Washington, corporate media that's a captive of government, and increasing censorship of the news, it's important to preserve freedom of speech and truth, whether it's related to endless COVID mandates, Albany corruption, or city violence. Try something different in 2022. Utilize the WYSL stations to advertise and grow your business. Take advantage of our huge audience, entertained and informed by great conservative programming. Affordable and effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
If you need a COVID-19 vaccine booster, your Livingston County Health Department and Office for the Aging offer the Moderna vaccine booster on Fridays in March, the 18th and 25th from 3 to 4 p.m. at the Health Department campus in Mount Morris Building 2. You must be 18 or older. Make an appointment by Googling Livingston County Health Department or call 243-7520 to register. Rides may be available. Again, 243-7520.
It's Turnbull tune-up time for the colder weather. Ensure safe operation of your heating system. Increase energy efficiency. Help your system live longer. Let the professionally trained technicians at Turnbull perform a thorough 13-point precision tune-up on your home comfort heating system. Call now for the next available appointment. 1-800-330-2005. Or in Avon, call 226-6180. Protect your heating system against breakdowns. Save on energy. Don't get caught cold. Get comfortable with the best. Turnbull Heating and Air.
A free solution.
We are back on a free solution, WYSL, WACK in Newark. My name is Craig Miles. Thank you so much for tuning in. The day after the Ides of March, the fall of Caesar. Is it the fall of the American Empire? I don't know. It's not looking great. The petrodollar. That's a big deal. I don't know how we're going to get through that because all of our power comes from oil. That's why I shouldn't say all of our power. A lot of the power of our dollar comes from the fact that you can only redeem U.S. dollars for oil. That's why we fight wars over oil. That's why it matters that we are friendly with Saudi Arabia. We have to keep them happy. What are we going to do now? We're going to sacrifice something to keep the Saudis happy, to keep OPEC happy? I don't know. I couldn't imagine. I can't predict the future, but I know there's people in Washington right now trying to figure out what they're going to do. How are we going to keep this reserve currency of the world status? How are we going to do this? How can we keep it away from China? How are we going to paint Russia as the reason for all of the things wrong in your life? It frustrates me to no end. Please call me and fight me on this if you believe that Russia is the reason for all of the problems in America. Because did we forget the world that we lived in for the past 2 years? And the unprecedented control and distortion of our lives? And we're going to act like that has nothing to do whatsoever with what's going on right now? We're going to act like centrally controlling everybody for 2 years, printing trillions of dollars for 2 years, 80% of the dollars that we've ever printed, ever. We're going to act like that doesn't have any effect on anything. It's all Putin's fault. Why do you fall for that? I don't criticize people. I criticize people. I don't blame them for their opinions. That is an opinion that I find very difficult to justify, very difficult to say, no, that's a reasonable opinion to have. No, Putin is not the reason. Putin is not the reason at all. This World War III is not the reason at all. It might be doing other things, might be causing other problems, but it is not why gas is $5 a gallon. It is not why we have runaway inflation of 7% over a year. It is not also corporate greed. What, the corporations, they weren't greedy for the past 4 years before Uncle Joe took office. That's why prices were low, because they forgot how to be greedy. But now they remembered. Oh, this is okay. I've seen this before from Buddha Black. I'm not entirely sure what the comment is. Okay, here we go. All right, this is good. So I said, someone call me and fight me, and they said pay me, which is this is the thing about education, right? You're not entitled to somebody's intellectual labor, so they want to be paid to give their opinion. But Boda also says European colonization is going to put my community in the same place we spent 100 years getting out of. Yes, you and everybody else, Boda. It's bad news. I'm 100% there with you. Stop colonizing. Stop fighting wars. Stop giving freedom to people. Stop forming these alliances. Stop sending trillions of dollars across the world to people who did nothing to you. Absolutely nothing. I have no beef with a Russian grandma on the street. I have no beef with a 16-year-old Ukrainian girl that's just trying to get an education. That has absolutely nothing to do with me. There's no reason why in my name we should be shooting people across the world, except that we need control. We need to control the markets. We need to control the dollars. We need to control all of these things. It's ridiculous. It's not okay. And yes, I agree with you, Boda. It's bad. Bad. Now, the other thing is, okay, are we going to stand up for disenfranchised people? Are we going to stand up for the less fortunate across the world? Yes, we can do that. We can do that without guns and bombs. We can do that by spreading the message of liberty, freedom, setting an example, so that when we say, hey, Putin, you are an evil guy, why are you attacking Ukraine for no reason? Putin can't come back and say, remember when you did the same thing to Ukraine in 2014? You remember that? Or you remember when you spent 20 years fighting in Afghanistan? Or when you gave the Saudis a bunch of money to bomb Yemen? We have absolutely no excuse. We have no legs to stand on when it comes to criticizing people. Who is the we I keep hearing about? Buddha says the we is America. The we is the government. Who is the we that you speak of, Buddha? I'm curious. What do you want to see in America? What is your issue? What do you think the most important thing facing the country is? I say we. When I say we, I mean the things that are done in our name. I mean the things that the government says. We as Americans must fight for freedom over here. We as Americans must stand against Putin. Yeah, who is we? It's not me. It's not me. I didn't ask you to do that. And that was my point earlier about this being the biggest issue, the next biggest issue. The war in Ukraine. Nobody cared about foreign intervention or colonization until 3 weeks ago. Now it's the biggest thing to talk about every day on CNN. My point, Boda, is you can't be doing things in the name of other people. And that happens way too much. And Boda says this in response. Acknowledgement of the conscious divides between consenting adults by constitutional measures we can consider equal. I think that's the biggest issue, right? Yeah. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Yes. We need to acknowledge that. We don't have enough of that right now. We also don't have enough of an exchange between people. If you don't agree with what I say, you're canceled. If you don't agree 100% with my opinion, I don't want anything to do with you. you never are going to come together with that. You're never going to come up with a solution. You'll only fight each other with the people who claim to care about you. They use the excuse of, well, we got to do this. You got to agree with me. Otherwise, the other side is going to win, and they're going to make your life terrible. Meanwhile, my life's not getting any better while you're up there fighting for the stuff that you say I should care about. This is why I say we got to take the power back. Why you got to help each other. Why you can't keep looking to Uncle Joe for solutions, or Daddy Trump. It comes with taking responsibility in your community. It comes with listening. It comes with recognizing that communities are a whole lot more important than whatever Washington has to say. That you're going to make a whole lot more change by talking to people face to face, by electing local representatives, by being involved with your local communities. You're going to make a lot more change like that rather than fighting every 4 years over who gets to lead the mess that we're in. It's very difficult because there's a whole lot more control every day from Washington, from Albany. How do you counter that? How do you keep standing tall? It's tough. I've had some conversations in the past week about the Libertarian Party specifically, about how Larry running in 2018 was a big catalyst. Everyone was ready to take on and, make a big difference. We're going to make a big difference in New York State. We got recognized as a party. We got 100 people elected to office the next year. And then His Majesty Emperor Cuomo came in and said, you guys are not a party anymore. You can't make change. And it devastated the movement. People said, we finally got somewhere, and now we don't get anywhere because Andy took it away. So it's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy to make these changes. That's why you keep speaking. That's why you keep listening. That's why you keep trying to come up with solutions. And that's the free solution right here on WYSL, WATK in Newark. Please give me a call, 585-346-3000. Vote. I appreciate the comments. And I'm not sure how much of what I'm saying you agree with, but I'm always happy to have a discussion. We will be right back after the break on A Free Solution.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix?
Hey, I forgot to mute this on that last segment, so you got the extra kickback. Yeah, you can turn that low cut off. I actually think you sound better, or did before, as far as the frequency response was more low end. So,
whatever the reason,
hang on, I got a call coming in.
Rest assured, knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating.
All right, we have a caller. We have Keith from Rochester.
Or isn't achieving your goals? Give the professional.
Out of curiosity, do you on your mixer, do you have phantom voltage turned on?
3182. That's 585-200-3182.
Okay, good.
SimpleTech Innovations.
Good. That's good. And are you doing it into a desktop PC or a laptop? Okay, is your battery fully charged?
So much. Each person in the office.
Hey, do me a favor. Unplug your power brick from your laptop and let's see if that alleviates the noise. If so, then all you'll have to do is put a ground drop on either the mixer or the laptop, because if the laptop's grounded, plug that will do it.
Outcome of your skills and artistry. It's made such a difference in my life.
Dr. Sussman, Dr. Pogel, and the entire staff at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry take great pride in providing not only advanced dental care, but extraordinary cosmetic dentistry. They love what they do. Have a partnership. For long-term dental health. Or 22dad.com.
The WYSL store is now open, and your car's crying.
Yes, I am.
Official Voice of Liberty bumper sticker. There's a great selection to help you.
So you're able to unplug your laptop power?
Here are just a few available.
Well, I'll let you know when they go on the air. Perfect, great. I'll let you, like I said, I'll let you know at the end of the show. If they're cleared up, then we'll know to just put because I assume your laptop plug is grounded too.
The Second Amendment, and your mess doesn't repeat.
Yep, so you can put a ground drop on one or the other, and that should alleviate the problem if this does correct it. So like I said, we have Keith from Rochester, and last stop.
For any Liberty lover you know, be sure to check out the exclusive WYSL Mount Worstmore shirts, hoodies, and coffee mugs.
I'll keep this feed coming back at you on to help you hear the phone caller better.
Shop the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
A free solution.
We are back to the free solution on WYSL WACK in Newark. Someone finally answered my call. We have Keith from Rochester. He has a comment or a question or concern. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. What's up, Keith?
I've been listening closely, and I agree. I do with everything you've been saying. I would just like to simplify it. The two major problems, they both begin with the letter M, mental illness and Marxism. We've just got to be able to, as people, look at someone and say, hey, you're flat out nuts. Something has happened to the American psyche where, because I always use as my baseline, World War II, that conflict lasted exactly 3.75 years. We got hit at Pearl in December 41, and then in Tokyo Harbor on the 2nd of September of 45. The enemy finally surrendered on board the Missouri. Our country used to stand for competence. Something that happened to many Americans, they've simply melted down and now have to be classified truly as mentally ill. Whenever I see or hear Hillary Clinton, I always shout out loud, psychopath. You've got to be able to call a spade. And secondly, Marxism has vaulted into our country.
You can plug your laptop back in. It actually is worse.
We're the decade that if we were going to go communist, the Great Depression of that bad enough decade, the 30s, that would have been when we would have gone commie, but we didn't. World War II came along and lifted all boats, and so far as a would-be financial recovery, you were paying heavy taxes and buying bonds, and you didn't have much to spend it on, but the middle class started coming back, certainly when the war ended. Today, half the country, unfortunately, might be looked upon as Marxist, and we've never had that obstacle before. So in closing, I'm having to say, we've got to be able to say to people when we see them, you have mental health problems, and we're not cutting you any slack. We are calling you for what you are. You are mentally unhealthy, even to the point of being insane. And we've got to take back these colleges and universities, these big-time bastions of liberalism. We've got to kick out the lefty professors and bring good back traditional values that made America great. And we are losing our country with these young people coming up. They have no backbone. They are completely weak. And
I got you. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So, yeah, a few things. Calling people crazy is not going to get them on your side. Unfortunately, I have to resist. I have to resist the temptation as well, because you wonder certain times why people think the way they do. But calling them crazy is only going to push them somewhere else. It's only going to make them want whatever they want worse. You have to offer them an alternative. So I think you're correct. The younger generation is fine with Marxism. You have a lot of people who are fine with Marxism. It's because they think that what we have is capitalism. They think that what we have is unfettered capitalism, that this is what capitalism is. It's not. We have corporatism. We have the government and big business working together to squash competition and to get monopolies on things. And that's why things are not so good. for people right now. That's why you have to work 3 jobs. That's why you can't afford rent. That's why you pay a bunch of money for gas. That's what's keeping the poor and the middle class down, is collusion between the government and big business. So Marxists look at that and they say, this is what capitalism is. It's not. You have to explain to them, listen, we need to make it so that we can organize locally, so that we can take away barriers for people who want to make money, for people who want to braid hair, for people who want to walk dogs. I shouldn't need a license for that. I shouldn't be giving all of these barriers to these big businesses to make it so that they're the only ones that can do this. You have to offer an alternative, because these concerns come from a real place. There's a reason why people feel the way that they do. Calling them crazy won't help the situation. You have to offer why they're feeling, the reason for the way society is that makes them feel the way that they do.
When you have insane thoughts, you get insane behavior. If you don't stand up to them and call them for what they are, those thoughts that are insane go on to be accepted now as standard and viable within the American society. We have nutty thoughts going on, and they are not being challenged, and there's no pushback. And many Republicans and even our fellow conservatives are flat out cowardly. They will not stand up when obviously insane ideas are put forth, and they've got to be dismantled. But people on our side, sir, are not standing up to the bad people. I'll tell you in closing what I would do. If I could, I would round up all the left and put them right down in Guantanamo in Cuba. I'd get them right out of the country. I don't care about them. I just want them out of our country. I want to take back our country. I want it sane. I want it conservative like it's always been. The left has to go. We are in a true shooting, just short of a true shooting civil war. The left has got to be dismantled and even thrown out of the country.
So yeah, I'm gonna push back on that, Keith. I don't think we should do that. I don't think we should round up people and put them in Gitmo. I think that we have to find a way to reach them, because again, this is half of the country. You're gonna get rid of half of the country? No, you're not gonna. You got to figure out how to work with them. So I understand where you're coming from. I understand why you're frustrated, and I would agree with you. I think people don't stand up necessarily the way that they should for their ideas. But there's a way to stand up for your ideas and to communicate them effectively without saying your ideas are garbage, you should go to Gitmo. That's not a good solution for anybody. We have to come together. We have to listen to people's concerns, and then if their solution is something that we disagree with, we have to argue that. We have to argue about that and find a solution that might be better for everybody.
Well, in closing, you're a good man, a good
2
guy,
minutes.
but I fear the way that you would go about it will only push just back a little further when our country is truly lost. That's the difference between you and me. I want to take our country back. To have to say it, you want to play patty cake with the domestic enemies in our country. I don't have the patience. I just want to collar them and tame them and get them to see the evil of their ways. And if they won't back down, they go to Guantanamo, period.
So Keith, I hear you. I think what needs to happen is a conversation, because force never works. All force does is put
1 minute
into Gitmo. It doesn't change minds. It doesn't change where we're going. We need to come together. We need to speak to each other. Patty cake is fine. I don't care if you play patty cake. Just don't make me pay for your patty cake.
Keith's gone.
We all have to come together. We all have to talk it out. We have to find solutions to problems that people are concerned with, because yelling at them and calling them crazy will only make them go and find worse solutions. We have to offer better solutions. The left has to offer better solutions. The right has to offer better solutions. We have to stop othering people. We have to understand that everybody has the same wants in life. They just want to be happy. Can we figure out how to make everybody happy? I would say we can. It comes with listening. It comes with talking. It comes with accepting. And that is a free solution. Right here on WSL. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be speaking with you next Wednesday.
All right, you did it with like 2 seconds remaining. I was afraid you were going to go over.
For spring and summer.
Just remember